Hello and welcome to the League of Extraordinary Atheists for Humanism, where we attempt to apply logic and reason to religion and politics. I'm here with my wonderful, beautiful co-host, Christy Santiago.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. Yeah, we're ready. Hi, guys. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. I missed you guys. Probably sound like I have something in here. It's because I do. I have something going on, and got hit with a huge outbreak of hives again. So we have that going on. So you guys get to see me and my I didn't get my hair did. This is unhair did Christy. But you know what? It's about the substance, right? The substance.
It's true. So what's
You
in
know,
your hair? No. Also, we are here with our man behind the curtain, our Lord and Savior, Nacho Witness.
Lord
So
and
everyone
Savior.
say
The
hi to him in the chat.
only
He
reason
is
we do this,
the
yes,
Lady of
is
Chat.
literally the Savior. Our beautiful, does exist Savior.
Yes. So we will warn you ahead of time for tonight's show. Um, um, Christy's been a little under the weather, as she has mentioned, and I am in the process of moving. And as I know it now, Nacha has a concert to go to tonight. So we are doing a show, but it's going to be a little bit of a shorter show. So,
Can I though? You want to know why Mac's moving, you guys? Tell him
I don't
that.
know. Oh, yeah, I know. Okay, I get it. Yeah, because I bought a house. I
They're
bought one. Yeah,
homeowner.
yeah.
That's phenomenal news. So
Yes, Rachel and I bought a house together. It is ours. It is both of ours.
this is
And it is
amazing.
awesome.
Yes.
Yes.
Good,
Yes.
wonderful news is always worth sharing with the group who is always going to be so happy for you. And I'm sure you're going to get lots of happy accolades and congratulations, Mac. That's fucking rad. I don't like that's the raddest thing ever. It'll be
Thank you
yours.
very much.
Those little notches of how tall each kid gets, and it'll be yours. You won't have to
It's true.
pick it out, take it with you when you leave.
That's a good idea. And I know exactly where I can do that. That's a good I for some reason I hadn't thought of that yet, but no, I'd like to do that.
You really should.
But yeah, we um excuse me. Yeah, we got like kind of like an old farmhouse. It's an antique for sure. It's over
Yeah.
100 years old.
Oh,
But the
so
foundation's pretty decent.
the bones are good.
The bones are good. That's exactly how Rachel says it. The
Yeah,
bones are good,
bones
especially
are
for a 100-year-old house. I think the last owners didn't take care of it very well, and but everyone before that took care of it fairly well. So that's good. The owner actually went down by you, Christy. He bought a houseboat and didn't want to live in Ohio anymore.
I don't blame
So
him.
yeah. So that's besides the point. But what is our first topic? I'm not even looking.
You
The
gotta
housing
open your
crisis. Perfect.
gotta open
Sweet.
your eyes
So
to
yeah,
that part.
yeah, this is the perfect opener for it. Excuse me. And actually, this is part of the reason why I'm covering it because I thought it was a good segue. Um,
I'm going to put
um,
a so I don't melt away.
all right, fair enough. So yeah, there's a huge housing crisis, and I'm not even going to go into the whole problem right now with homelessness and us just having more homes, empty homes, than homeless people. That's a problem. We've discussed that here on the show before. But I also want to discuss some of the real estate issues. My fiance is a real estate agent, so I know a little bit about market, but I don't really cover it too much. But when I hear things about the real estate, I do pay attention more often. And I shared those stories with Rachel more often because she's not as into most news and politics as I am, but that is her field. So I'm like, hey, you need to care about this. So she listens, which is good. Um,
Couldn't have I mean, when you're doing something like such a major purchase as a home, a boat, or any of these major purchases, it's always good to have a pro, whether it's one that you go and sit down with and you pay for their time, or one that you take her and all her children and say, listen, you're going to give me some advice.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
tell me how.
actually at closing, this is fun. We signed all the papers, we small talked for a few minutes because Rachel knew the people that were at closing.
Okay.
Um excuse me. And then at the end, as we all stood up to leave, I'm like, oh shit, I'm sorry. I had one more question. They're like, oh, what? And I'm just like, I don't know if we need to sign any more papers or what it takes. But can I keep the real estate agent? Can I keep her? So that was great. I got to land that line.
That was adorable.
Um, thank you.
Does she
Thank
come
you.
with the house?
Does she come with the house? I just want to make sure it's official.
Because I don't
So
want it if she doesn't come with it.
I know I already signed for it. I just
Oh, dang it. She better come
I
with
don't want to
it.
make her stay in there. All right. Um, excuse me.
It's a different
Um,
podcast.
that's right. Yeah, that's a different story. Yeah. Um, Leah After Hours. Jesus Christ.
That evil laugh. I heard it after it came out. I had the same reaction as you guys. Kind of a little evil there. Yes.
Feels
Housing.
good.
Housing.
So housing.
What
So
a
the real estate that I've been trying to pay attention to. And we're gonna take a drink.
all
And yes,
right.
I drink Smirnoff Ice. It's good. It's just purple. It's just alcoholic Kool-Aid, and that's what I like. Um, so I've noticed um that over the past couple years now, just a couple years, we're having another end to that boom and burst cycle with the economy, and the housing market has had exploded. So it was really a buyer's market, seller's market. I apologize. It was a seller's
Yeah.
market, like fucking crazy. Um, I have friends and family who just sold their houses because they're like, the housing market was up. I don't know. I mean, if I want to make an investment, it's a good time to move. Also, if that's the only house you own, it's not a good time to move at
Right.
that point in time because you still got to buy a house on that market. Um, but if you have investment properties, it's a great time to sell them. And a lot of people did. Um, excuse me. That said, that market has calmed. And some of that is because the Fed is hiring interest rates to make sure that people can't afford to buy a house,
Yeah.
more or less. And we
Pricing.
bought during that.
Yeah, they're pricing
Um,
regular people out of a lot of things,
yes,
all major purchases.
yes. And we bought during that. And I knew that. I saw it coming because I was actually paying attention. That's great. Um, but it still, I mean, it's still like hurt, right? So we had a rate lock and so on and so forth. Like this last fall was not a good time to buy a house. Um, but now it's even worse because the interest rates are over like 10%. And I don't know how long it's supposed to stay that way. I had last heard until like March or so, so almost done. But you never really know what the Fed's going to do, right?
And it might continue to keep easing up. On a thing I was listening to today, it would be small increments, and the whole reason is there are a lot of the 1% of the top 1% who feel that workers, I'll just put it in their words, labor has too much power, which is
Yeah,
bullshit. However, they think we know to have a healthy democracy, we need informed people, people who have jobs, who will have a place to live, and jobs not only that it can be a career, but pay them a living wage. Now, when all of these things are starting to happen, not that it's happening or is here, this puts the fear of them being like everyone else and not up here anymore under their ass, and it really does scare them. And so they with their words have stated that there needs to be, they call it a healthy unemployment number at around 4 to 5%. No, a healthy unemployment number would be nobody. But in order for capitalism to work, in order for these people to have everything, there has to be losers. There just has to be in order for that to work. So that's what they're talking about. So by them
And
higher by doing that, what they're doing is locking in and hoping to make it so that they can make these things come to fruition. Now that's a whole different podcast. We can maybe even get an economist come on and explain everything for us. That would be wonderful. I understand it and I flounder when I try to describe it without my notes in front of me. So, but that's a huge part of what's going on, is this fight, this class fight of these capital owners, the capitalists, not wanting to see zero unemployment. They want more unemployment. They would prefer that the workers, the labor of this nation, be back into a spot where they're so scared to lose the job because they might not get another. So they'll just deal with what they have to deal with to keep that job. Keeping them that insecurity is a healthy thing for the capitalists.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that just kind of struck me funny when you said that, because I know that during the State of the Union address, Biden mentioned that the unemployment rate was way better than anyone expected.
Yes, the lowest in over 50 years.
Yeah, that's fantastic. But that probably shows the capitalists, right? Larger companies and CEOs, that's not good for them, right? Because when unemployment is low, that means people aren't hurting for a job, meaning that takes, because this is a competition, capitalism, that takes their power to drive down wages.
Right.
Right? Because there's no competition for the pool of people who need a job. All right. It's the other way around. The unemployment's really low, therefore wages have to go up for anyone to get any extra help, because there's a huge issue with keeping employees in the service sector.
Yes.
And I mean, that's why everyone's freaking out, honestly. I feel like we've been pretty consistent on this. And I feel like I have a good idea of what's going on there, at least in my neck of the woods, because I work in this service industry, and I pretty much always have. And I just know how it works, at least in my neck of the woods. And those jobs don't pay very well. Everyone always wants to leave. And then when you have a chance, like in this economy and what COVID made a lot of people do, you leave. And when you finally leave a job like that, you usually don't want to go back to one like that. So this is why you're seeing a lot of your fast food restaurants and grocery stores understaffed or even closing down. I'm sure maybe you can even think of one, Christy, that's nearby you, like maybe a few fast food restaurants closed down in Tampa.
There's quite a few. There's Starbucks going on all over. Not just Starbucks. God, there's so many right now that are trying to and accomplishing organizing. If I just look up just Hillsborough County alone, we have a record. It is not just here in this state or this city. We have record labor organizing, like the on record historically. This, you know, how I love history. I love reading through history and how in the 1920s and 30s, the robber barons would literally hire their own militias. Many of these people in the militia were also cops for that area, and they would bring their billy clubs and their guns, and they would not allow protests. And if they were a big enough work group, workforce to protest. They could protest outside in a picket line, and they made it so that they were called scabs, the people who would try to get past the picket line because they will pay you per that day. And people, they take advantage of people's desperation. People who normally wouldn't work in this factory, they want these workers who are protesting. They're on the side of the protesters. However, they also have to feed their family. So they get called scabs by running in, and it's just caused, the reason why they do this is because the problem is them. And if these guys can keep all of us fighting with each other, then we're not paying attention to them. And that's what that is. That's what they're trying to do. I've actually got my hands on and been able to read some of the union busting, like a manager will get their bullet points. We're going to have a meeting, and they have their managers come in for that meeting, and then those papers get put away. Then they bring the workers in, and then the workers get a meeting. And of course, they don't say everything that was said to just the managers, but they're told it. Even if you hear someone saying, "Hey, did you hear so and so is unionizing?" It doesn't even have to be the same store. Like, say you're at a Walmart. Did you hear the Starbucks over there is unionizing? You can get in trouble, fired. You can lose your job. You can get pulled aside and told you're not allowed to talk to our workers like that. So yeah, it's all connected. All of it's connected. The housing is just the cherry on top of all of this mess.
Yeah, and that's why I brought it up. It's because when the it depends on like what side of the housing market you're talking about. Because right now, with the interest rates up, it hurts normal people, normal like middle class, lower class people from buying a house. Anyone who has cash offers, though, they don't need an interest rate. Anyone who's super rich, it doesn't hurt them at all. It actually just lets them have a tighter grip on the market because they can dance around the one hurdle that was set for anyone who can't just hop on over it. It's just a hurdle. So I mean, it does slow the housing market.
It does.
And it does lower prices, but it doesn't stop anyone who's super rich.
It prices the regular people like you and I out when people can come in and buy in cash. Or when organizations like BlackRock don't even have to go to the state where they're buying these hundreds of houses. They just open up their computer and look at what houses are for what and what area is up and coming. And they will buy a plethora of homes with cash. Nobody in those areas can compete with that. Therefore, now this whole neighborhood, the people that still live there, they have lived there for, not hundreds of years. Some of them, yes, generations and generations. They were hoping by doing this, they were doing the American dream of building generational wealth by owning a home that they can pass on to their family. Now that sets up the next generation a little bit of breathing room. However, when organizations like BlackRock, just to name one, there's many of them, or Chinese organizations or Saudi Arabian organizations come in and they buy up all of these lots, all of these homes with cash, those families that have lived there for generations, hoping that they did all the right things the right way, that they can have this generational wealth. It's not wealthy, it's just now their children don't have to come up with the down payment and all this. You understand. But what happens is those families that have lived there, their taxes at the end of the year are, anywhere from 2,700 to 4,900, have been that way for the past 10 years, was cheaper the 10 years before that, cheaper 10 years before that, on and on and on. However, now that all these homes just got bought up for cash, double the asking price, guess what happens when they get that tax bill for the end of the year? Now they can't pay the taxes for the same home that they've lived in because these homes have now been bought, renovated, and even though they were for sale for 120,000, 140,000, They paid 350 to 500,000 per home because they could, and renovated them. And now these people who have lived there are priced out of their own neighborhood. That's what's happening. And it's happening in mass. There are states that are proposing and passing laws stating that foreign organizations, foreign nonprofits, foreign private businesses, doesn't matter. You're not from here, you can't buy homes here. And I love that. It's called protectionism, and I'm not okay with all protectionism, but that I am okay with.
Right. I mean, it's a step in the right direction,
Yes.
but it still leaves other corporations that are domestic.
Hold on, Maya. That's for Maya. Everybody else avert your avert your eyes.
Everyone else carry on.
That's right. Nothing to see here.
It's
or city or
still
county.
tribalistic, though.
Very.
Right? It's just like, oh, they're foreign people couldn't do this, right? But we are in the U.S. There's certain states trying to pass laws that don't even let new U.S. citizens buy a house.
Right.
Like they want to make a make a make it like a timeline. Like you have to be here for so long before you can qualify to buy a house here, because you could be a foreign actor. Just like,
right.
I mean, if it's a private, I feel like what we really need to do is make at least one of the main stipulations is you need to live at that house or someone needs to. And you can't, and I am not 100% against landlords, but I think, like everything else, landlording should be restricted. If you have more than 2, 3, 4 properties, we got to draw the line somewhere, right? I mean, if you were just renting out homes as your main sources of income, I feel like that could be a problem, right? That's not very meritocratic. But I mean, but some homes are a lot of work to upkeep. I don't want to take that away, but it's not, a home isn't a commodity. So that's where I come back to, there needs to be some kind of cap. And I think I'll try to leave it with this, but feel free to add on, Christy, before we move to the next topic. But bringing this back to wider economics, I think there needs to be a wealth cap. Wealth cap.
Yeah, on quite a few things. I agree.
Yeah, but just overall, there needs to be a wealth cap. If there's a minimum wage, there should be a maximum wage. And if you don't want a maximum wage, or maybe along with a maximum wage, there needs to be a cap of how much money you can freaking have. Because not only is it more moral, who cares about that? Most people don't. So, from the economic side of things, it's not good for the economy to have too much money, because money that sits around in a computer or in a safe or what the fuck ever is not flowing through the economy. And the economy, economics 101 is supply and demand, right? And how do you buy things with money that is in circulation? You need money in circulation. When poor people
I have an example. This train derailment that everybody's watching on the news.
In Pennsylvania?
Yeah, huge train derailment. Now, for the last couple years, they have been begging, people in maintenance have been begging, we need this. This thing is getting rusty. We need these. We need to do maintenance on that. We need maintenance on that. The red tape thing that goes, when you work in any kind of industrial area, you'll know when something gets inspected, they put a little thing on it with the date on it. Those little things are so old they don't exist anymore. So they have to go into their paperwork to find out when it needed to be replaced, like tiny things like that just slipping through. Well, come to find out, they get in this big, huge kerfuckle. And yes, I said it with the F-U-C-K in it because that's what it is. Come to find out, this exact railroad company took billions that they got from the United States taxpayers to help during COVID.
Don't say it. Don't say it. Did they
And
do
they
stock
bought,
buybacks?
yes, they spent it on stock buyback.
They're just like the airline company.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just like there should be such
So
strong laws for that. They've been chipped away at. We had antitrust legislation that was the belle of the ball. Like it just really was. Damn, that is strong legislature and legislation. And because it was, they've been clipping over here and nipping over there and privatizing this part. That way, what you can't tell us what to do with the privatized part. And that's how that happens.
Let me teach everyone something here real quick.
Oh no.
I'm
No.
actually gonna teach you a thing.
I'm gonna
Um,
listen.
Now it's not that you guys don't know this, but I want you to look for it in your own lives, right? And in your own workplaces. If you know anything about your company's profit, check it out. Um, my like the company that I work for, we have record profits this year. Like the financial year, the fiscal year just ended. We have record profits, but I know two things that happen that they're not adding on to the conversation when they tell us these numbers.
Really?
And it's going to make sense to everyone, but you need to not just say, oh, yeah, that makes sense. You need to look for it in your own life so you can really learn from it. One, obviously, is inflation. Prices
Mm.
are higher. People still have to shop. I work at a grocery store. You're going to make more money. So I know you're
Mm.
bragging about it, but like, should you be bragging about it? Like, maybe we should look at the amount of units of things that we sold. Maybe that's lower. I don't know. But we can't really tell because we look at the dollar signs, and those are um, flimsy.
Mm.
Um, the other thing is, I know they lost a lot of employees. The workload is on less people. So whenever they condense the size of your office or the amount of people that it takes to do certain tasks, like maybe the treasurer and the secretary can do the same thing, right? So they get rid of one of them, for instance. That saves the company money. And when they save money from paying a person a yearly wage, that goes directly to their profit margin, right? So it makes it look like they made more money. Um, excuse me. So if you work at a fast food restaurant or at a grocery store and they tell you how much you made last year and compare that to this year, then hey, ask yourself if you've noticed how many less workers are in your area or other stores or even management, especially when they get rid of management or when management leaves and they don't replace them right away. They're paying for one less person, and it really helps their overall profit as long as um, business as usual can proceed. Um, but yeah, I just want to share that with you guys. Like I said, it's not rocket science, but it's really important to look for it where you work and where you shop, right? For fast food or at the grocery store. Um, and it's also important And I'm not just saying that because I work in this industry, but it is important to try to be extra patient to fast food workers and waiters and waitresses
Yes,
and so on and so forth, like food clerks, cashiers,
yes.
because they are overworked,
And
um,
underpaid and
and underpaid.
underappreciated and
Absolutely.
disrespected. Yes.
On a daily
Cat
basis.
called. Um, yeah, I also worked at a Wendy's.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, it happens all the
mm,
time, every single day. Like it's like you have to expect it. But um so when like someone's out of your favorite thing at the grocery store or when your food's taking too long, you got to remember, I mean, as easy as their job is, it still takes time. And when you have one less person doing their part in the assembly line, of which is supposed to make
yeah.
their job
I
fast
would
and serve you
actually
faster, it puts a
disagree
lot
with
of
you
pressure.
there. I would have a disagreement. Easy work, that was some of the hardest work I've ever done. Maybe not mentally, but physically taxing. You know how you feel after you're moving, just the stress of moving when you can sit down at the end of the day. Now you got everything in, tomorrow you have to unpack everything, so you can't really relax, but you're exhausted. It's that feeling every single night. It was
Yeah,
so exhausting. Yes. And then on top of all of the physical, it's the customer's always right, even when they eat paint chips for lunch. Like, you can't argue with someone who already knows, arguing with you about something that isn't on the menu, never has been, because they're in the wrong restaurant, and you have to like be nice to them still. Yeah, it's
yeah.
a very, very hard job. That's for
Hmm.
sure.
Yeah.
No, it's not rocket
It's
science. Like you said, it's not. But it
mm,
is physically taxing and emotionally taxing.
yeah, it absolutely can. And when I mean when you do it all day, it's really easy to lose motivation. That's why assembly lines on the same machine or same task all day like drive people nuts. I mean, I was trying to be a little facetious when I said it was easy. I mean, I think conceptually, and why I was being facetious is when you're standing there waiting for your cheeseburger, and I know how to make a double cheeseburger at McDonald's. It, it isn't hard to make a sandwich,
Right.
but at
And
the
does it
same
show
time,
you? It shows
you
you
have
on the little thing, right? You just follow the picture.
yeah, but you do like you're wearing these gloves that are like fucking with your
Oh,
hands,
those.
and you got to deal with other people in the kitchen around you, and you're only supposed to make so much of the sandwich, and you have to make sure everyone's working on the right one because one guy wanted extra pickles, one guy wanted it plain, one guy wanted it with no ketchup, but with ranch, with the mustard, whatever, right? Like to keep the order straight, that is a taxing thing when you're doing it fast for multiple people.
Right.
So it is hard in in one sense, and in another sense, it's not.
Right.
Especially when you're standing there waiting for someone else to do it for you. It's not
Mm,
hard, right?
right.
But that's why I ask people to show some patience. Like I know it's annoying when someone won't take your order right away, but like they are waiting on maybe like 6 to 10 to 12 more tables. So
Hmm.
like just chill out, wait your turn. You came here to sit down and have someone else make you food. I'm sorry if you have to wait 10 extra minutes. I know that's annoying, but
You don't have to cook.
right, you don't have to cook. So just
Yeah, I think
yeah,
what Mac and
sit
I
there
are
and do
trying
it.
to say is,
Be patient.
to all of you restaurant workers, we feel you. You guys kick ass. And you should never be mean to anyone who is making your food. And if I have to explain that to you, you probably shouldn't go out to eat.
Yeah. And I mean I would never even go as far to say praise them or just even thank them, even though that is nice at times. It's just patience, just patience. Like
Definitely.
even if you really are frustrated, just say, just give a half-hearted thank you on the way out. That's enough to make someone's day when they know
Yep.
they're frustrating you, but they can't make it go any faster. So, anyways, That's right. Moving on. Moving on to the next topic.
I did want to add, I did put it into chat. We have a friend and member of our great minds and thinking community. His name is Thomas Bear of Off the Chain Atheists. He is brilliant at creating some all kinds of badassery. And so I actually asked him if he could put together like a little sample thing if I wanted to show people, and that I would promote it on LEAH. He understands we get, we don't have thousands in our chat, but over the week people do watch it. And just that little, if we can all do our part and help our friends out. I think that I talk to him often, not just about his awesome rad work, but he did put together something for me and did it so fast. And so thank you, Thomas. And I will be putting it in the show notes as well as in the chat. So anybody who is listening to this later and the live chat is not live anymore, if you were to happen to pop over to the chat, even though it's not live, if you missed it and don't want to look for it, it will pop up at the time that we're talking about it, and click on it and look at his stickers, his t-shirts. If you want really rad thinking, skeptical, atheist, some of them are funny, some of them are just badass gear and merch, check out Thomas Bear's little link he put together just for us here at LEAH. So it'll be good stuff.
Did you say little links?
Little
off
links
the chain?
off the chain. Just you. Okay, let me see if I can see, this says comfortable toys.
Yeah.
Nice. That's one toy. Hold on. That's another toy. Oh, that's another toy.
Look at those.
What kind of whoa.
Is that a ladder? That was off topic.
I'll put you on the rack. That's my torch. That's when someone's bad. They got to go to the dungeon. I mean,
all right. I'm gonna see if Nacho's changed the topic.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Oh, poor Thomas. Sorry to segue into that from your little links. Not that your links are little. I wouldn't know. Boom, boom. Yes. I am, and I'm not trying to.
But you did it.
But I did it, yes.
Art thou is dead. All right. So
yes.
Checking Axios. Des Moines. All right.
Des Moines. The S is silent. Yes. Only because I'm from that area.
Des Moines.
I know that?
I'm gonna call it Des Moines.
Illinois. Des Moines. It's Illinois and Des Moines. Okay.
Yes.
I will preface if you want.
You will what?
I will preface the story.
Sure, go for it.
All right. I did prepare for this part. You guys, laying with ice packs is not the optimal position to be in to take notes, let me tell you. Okay, next topic is a doozy. No more white bread, no more American cheese under the Iowa GOP proposal to limit SNAP. Iowa House Republicans are proposing limitations to the state's Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program benefits, also known as SNAP.
Oh, SNAP.
Oh, SNAP. This program, which could drastically narrow what items program beneficiaries can purchase. Under this proposal, items including white bread, American sliced cheese, and fresh meats would not be covered by the new program. Instead, House File 3, introduced last week, would restrict users to items on the state's approved list for the women, infant, and children programs. So remember that The state's approved list for the Women, Infant, and Children program. That's the WIC program. But not just everybody's on WIC, so we'll come back to that. SNAP is a federal program to assist lower income households and individuals who purchase healthier food options, while the WIC program provides states federal grants to help supplement the diets of new lower income mothers and pregnant people. More families with unpredictable work hours are less likely to get the food stamps they'll need now. The bill would prevent SNAP recipients from buying everyday kitchen staples, including butter, cooking oil, spices, white rice, noodles or rice noodles, and canned vegetables, fruits, and soups, such as the approved WIC list is restricted to only 23 food categories, 4 of them being specific to infants. That the only allowable meat purchases would be canned tuna, canned salmon, and even though meat, poultry, and seafood, the top expenditure category by SNAP households nationwide, according to a 2011 U.S. Department of Agriculture study. Critics of this bill have said that the proposal would dramatically affect low-income, older, and disabled people in Iowa, though, who rely on food assistance programs by narrowing their options even further to a restrictive list intended for people who are new mothers or pregnant people. This bill would restrict SNAP participants' ability to make their own food choices, take food away from Iowans, and increase hunger and food insecurity in the state of Iowa. The Iowa Hunger Coalition declared. Now, the Iowa Hunger Coalition, IHCD, check them out. They're an amazing, I did a lot of reading on them today just because of this. So the Iowa Hunger Coalition declared in a statement last Friday in response to this GOP-backed proposal. I'll go down here, and it says that the money that will be, okay, so you're in your 60s or in your 70s, and you need this to get by. You can get foods that are for infants and nursing mothers. That will be covered, but you can't get any meats, any fish. Like, it just eliminates. They're punishing people for being poor. I don't know how else to read this bill.
So
there's my preface.
yeah, no, I can no, and that's a good preface. That's a really good jump off point, because this is what people in my state want, more or less. I feel like when people talk about food stamps here, it's just like, oh my God, people are wasting money. Like, we're paying other people's meals, yada yada. And they're wasting
Feeding
money.
people is never waste.
Right.
Like,
well,
it just isn't.
So this is half playing devil's advocate here.
Okay.
Because I feel like we've talked about it before, but it's been quite a while. I like
big butts, and again, not that.
So I like the idea of restricting what you can buy on, like, with your EBT card, or like, like with like WIC and SNAP. I mean, like, WIC is too complicated already. Like, cashiers hate WIC because
it's on a card here in Florida. It's way different. Gotcha. It's just on like your bank card, your debit card. You have your WIC card.
A list, and you have to get the exact ounces in Ohio.
Like, if that's how it used to be, like, a long time ago.
Like that here. It's
like
still
20 or 30 years ago, it was like that here.
Yeah, no, it's I don't think it's any better yet. So anyways, and that's just punishing poor people.
Yes.
But look, I think it's a good idea to restrict items, and I feel like I have a better proposal. So I want to know what you guys and you, Christy, think about my proposal for um, restricting things you can get with food stamps, like in general, right? I'm just going to say food stamps. Um, excuse me. So unless it has
Mm.
a higher like nutritional value, um, and I know that some stores like score things with nutritional values, right? Maybe give things a certain score, but food product maybe should not be necessarily something you buy with a um with an EBT. And I even think that's too much. Where I would just draw the line myself is soda, sweet treats, and maybe even like salty snacks, like potato chips, Doritos, Cheez-Its. And I know like people love that stuff. And I even threw that out and excuse me, in a political group on Facebook at one point in time. And Republicans got on me about that because they said, you're gonna laugh at this, Christy. Um, I'm not gonna have the government tell me what I can and can't buy at the grocery store when you're using a government program to buy extra groceries at the grocery store. Wait, aren't you a Republican? Hold on a second. I'm the socialist in here. The fuck? Hold on here. Something's missing. So because I work at a grocery store and I do see people um come in and sometimes you can tell, what time of the month that it is. It's just like those cards got filled up with funds. And when you see people fill their carts with Little Debbie's, Doritos, and just cases or bottles and bottles and bottles of Mountain Dew, it does make you feel like you are wasting your tax dollars. It does. I get that. But I also understand that people learn those lifestyles, and that's just how they know.
Mhm.
So,
See, I was actually seeing it from a kid's point of view. I wouldn't want
mhm,
those restrictions because kids get picked on enough. And if their lunch that they bring, because their mom wants to pack their own lunch, it has the things that are only they don't have the Doritos, they don't have that's just going to be one more thing. So I think
yeah,
everything in moderation. If there's going to be
mhm,
restrictions, then you can't say you get $475 a month for food for a family.
yeah,
And each week you buy groceries each week. At some point, I would be okay with them saying, "This is the sixth bag of deodorant of Doritos, family
Doritos.
size." But then again, what if you have four teenage boys? That's one bag each, honestly. So
Yeah,
I would rather teach, like you said, those are taught, those are
yeah,
learned, these are behaviors. I'm not okay with putting restrictions on what people buy. I do think that there should be incentives, like if you don't buy this soda that is $2 each thing, you'll be able to add $2 more to the end of it to get something else healthy. Like some sort of an incentive would be good. I like that. But as far as like the kids get it. I'm not worried about adults.
I
Worried
get
about the
that.
kids, that now they open
Yeah,
their lunchbox and it's just like nobody on their table is like, "Ooh, what do you have?" They're like, "Ooh." And that kid
right.
already feels like they have their older sister's shoes from last year and their older sister's uniform from last year. And now, because of their state's government, they are being punished for being poor. The children are being punished because the parents are poor. Is
Yeah,
not okay. So yeah, we really
I
need
get that.
to a comprehensive look at all of it. And my comprehensive look at food assistance would not be taking away from, it would be adding to.
Yeah, no, so and I want to keep this back and forth going a little bit, because I think it's important to like hash it out, because these are the kind of conversations that we need to hear in Congress more, because we don't. Anyways, no, so
Right.
I absolutely see your point with that, and that's why like the last thing I said was like and maybe salty snacks, right? Like Doritos and Lay's and Pringles and such. Um, um, well, I would love to see what I would love to give and take with a Republican on the floor. Be like, yeah, no, absolutely. Like I see people buy junk food. Why don't we just nix all the junk food? We'll put more money on the EBT, and I don't know how it is now, but like I don't care if you buy Maine lobster. I don't care if you buy
It would just
T-bone,
be, I mean, you
ribeye.
can here because I'm in
Yeah,
Florida, there's seafood
mhm,
everywhere. You
yeah,
can buy those things with,
yeah,
I know you can't buy hot food. Like here, our grocery
mm,
store also has a deli. They make
yeah,
cold sandwiches, but they also make soups and all kind. You can't have the hot food.
mhm,
Nothing hot and prepared. However, the sandwiches that they make right there, you can get those. So it
yeah,
is, split that way. And I think that, yeah, if there could be some incentive, yes, you have kids. I like Doritos. Nacho cheese Doritos are amazing. I can't eat tons and tons of them because I end up not wanting them anymore. But, a
right,
handful of those on my plate with like a tuna sandwich with lettuce, this is amazing lunch. And I
yeah,
prefer those Doritos over the store brand cheese.
mhm,
They just taste different. They taste better to me.
yeah,
However, if at the end of, each week, if instead of, hey, we're getting this, we do that. I don't even know how they would implement a system like that. But maybe, the more healthy things that you're buying, a little bit gets added to the end. I don't know how they would do that. I would very much be interested in finding
mhm,
out and learning how to implement something like that. But I really think what you said is the nail in the coffin right there. It is about education. Those
mhm.
families that are buying, all of these 2 liters of Mountain Dew and all of these little Debbie's and all of these frozen dinners
They're
and
just
all of the
raised
things,
that.
they were
It's
raised
a
that way and
lifestyle.
they're cheap. They're cheap. They're cheap,
Food
cheap.
is Yeah, food is a part of a lifestyle, right? And I mean, but like drinking Mountain Dew instead of water isn't good for you. Like I know
No.
too many
Oh, look
people
up
in
the
my area.
history of Mountain Dew and why the formula of Mountain Dew is illegal in every country except for the United States of America. Check that
I
out.
believe it. I believe it. I mean,
Yes,
we have the lowest like food
yes, yes.
checking, whatever, I forget the word for it. Regulations.
Re
Uh
regulations.
yeah,
Yes,
it's like
yes,
not good.
yes, yes.
But no, I mean, I would
Regulations are what? They're just laws to protect.
yeah. But so, okay, I guess my main point through all of this is just I see what they're doing here, but restricting like fresh foods, fresh
Yeah,
meat,
that's bullshit.
like only canned tuna and same like that's absolutely bullshit.
It
Like,
is.
well, like this is what I mean by they went the wrong way. I'm like, no. And I know Frito-Lay and Pepsi Co. Coca-Cola wouldn't like it if we kicked them off of things that you can buy at the store with an EBT card. But I mean, as as a government of the richest nation um, on planet Earth, I think we should be promoting better foods like the essentials and like plus some like better living. Like we should allow this is how I look at it. All right. Feel like this is very simple, and I feel like I'm going to reach some people on the left and on the right with this is the spirit of what I want to put into law with food stamps is look, food stamps are supposed to help you get food, not food substitute, right?
Right.
lunch lunch and dinner, even breakfast, are necessary. Dessert's
Yes.
not. Soda's
Hey,
not necessary. I
ice
know you like
cream.
Pepsi.
Ice
I
cream
like it.
is my favorite food group. Uh, Prove me wrong.
I
I
get
should
it.
set up a
I get it.
table
No.
like Crowder and set up a table that says ice cream is my favorite food group. Prove me wrong.
I, I remember that clip. No, so but to me, and I feel like every Republican or any kind of right winger who would um, fight me on this might just fight against their own interests. Is because I hate that I don't want the government saying what I can and can't buy.
Yeah,
And we're not. We're not. We're assisting you in food, actual real food. You
yeah,
can still buy the rest. You're still allowed to buy paper towels, even though you can't get that with your EBT card. You
right.
fucking do that, right? If you want to buy Pepsi or Mountain Dew or Little Debbie's, we're not taking those off the shelves. We're not restricting those from stores. We're just you can't use taxpayer money that's supposed to help you put a meal on the table for your family
Hmm.
on sugary snacks and
Right.
greasy bullshit. And like I do still feel for kids who um can't get the name brand Doritos, but at the
Right.
same time,
If
I'm
they're in
like,
a Ziploc bag, though, no one can
can't
tell.
notice. Yeah,
Right.
no,
But as far as like the like little Debbie's, if you're getting a little Debbie in your lunch, and
yeah,
that's you're not getting home and eating a box, and I'm for that. It's
yeah.
school. You're right. It's all in moderation and
But
education.
we need like families in need who need food stamps should get them. And they should be
I
easy to
agree.
get and they should get plenty. That
Hmm.
way, that way the family has enough money where if they actually want to spend their money when they're already on a short budget and they are hopefully temporarily on food stamps, they can spend their paycheck on
Right.
their soda and their sugary snacks or anything else they need. They can budget for that. But that's a
Yes,
treat.
soda. I'm like, I don't really think soda. But Halloween comes around, and we had friends who couldn't participate because they didn't have money, but they didn't understand. They weren't aware that they could use their EBT card to get candy. Now that is supposed to be for their planned meals, but because they were able to go buy two smaller bags, $4 each, they were able to participate. And so it's little things like that where it's nuanced. It's not black or white. Do I think that that is where that taxpayer money should go on a whole? No. Do I think that that taxpayer funded benefit helps that family? Yes, they actually had a
Yeah.
great Halloween and were able to participate, all because of that $8 or $9 that they didn't have, but they were able to use because of the card. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's going to take a lot of voices sitting down and talking about what is okay and what works and what isn't, and how we can educate on food. And yes, this is yummy. You take this class and you learn these things about nutrition, you get to have that little Debbie cake at the end of it as your reward. Like,
Yeah,
it's
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah.
So, I mean, I want to remind everyone when you're having these kind of conversations, it's really important to remember like any of these problems that we're talking about, like we're trying to like solve this issue, talking about food stamps, WIC, SNAP, EBT, right? But that's not the only problem that's putting food at the table, right? It's also low wages, the cost of rent or mortgage and interest rates. It's it's just the job market in general. It's stock market too. Like it's just so many things, and this the wealth inequality in general,
Mhm.
right? Um, we want everyone to have a good baseline. In socialism, we want everyone to have the same start line and making sure that everyone has the opportunity to have a healthy meal, at least two a day, lunch and dinner, right? I don't like breakfast, so I'm not gonna. I think everyone should have the right to breakfast, but not everyone should have to eat breakfast. Damn it. Excuse me. But point being, um, I would love for everyone to be able to. I'm going to talk about it like the Democrats talk about healthcare. I want everyone to have affordable little Debbie's. I want everyone to have access to Pepsi. but I actually don't want to legislate so everyone gets a Pepsi. I just want to make sure that if you budget right, because we're giving everyone a good baseline, right? Everyone has a good wage, everyone gets a UBI because we're the richest fucking country in the world, and everyone who needs it is on some kind of SNAP or WIC or EBT program. That way, everyone has the same start line. Apart from that, yeah, you do gotta like find some kind of work that you can do to get a paycheck, or you're getting enough out of Social Security every month, or you healthcare is fucking taken care of, so you can afford other things from your paycheck, so you
Mhm.
can buy yourself a goddamn Pepsi and not feel like you're a fucking failure because you can't control how much you want sugar, and you could like one Pepsi's gonna break you for the week.
Right.
Like that shows there's much bigger problems in our economy than just the EBT argument. This is just one drop in the bucket, but I really feel like we could get more right wingers on board if we did EBT more sensibly and really made it like not like what fucking Iowa's doing. Let
Mm-mm.
people buy their fucking white bread and their spaghetti pasta and fucking steak or just fresh ground beef. That's fantastic. That's good. Maybe Nick's hot dogs, Oscar Mayer. That stuff's disgusting. That's a food product. I'm not seriously saying take that off the menu, but I'm saying like if between the two, fucking Nick's hot dogs.
I'm gonna put a wiener in my mouth. It's gonna be kosher.
That's funny. That was good. That was really good.
Just saying.
Anyways, um, I hope you guys took something from the show tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed the topics.
Yeah, if you
I
have any ideas about like, because I'm gonna
please
be thinking
comment.
about this for a while about they want to limit all these things. How can we take this beautiful benefit that is given so greedily to not enough people who deserve it? How can we
Yeah,
take something like a food benefit and make it better? Make it better, make it more humanist, make it think about each age group being a member or someone who receives it. A kindergarten, that kid, what their day would be like. Think about someone who is in middle school. Think about someone who's in high school, who's in college, who is a mother, who's a grandmother, who are grandparents. Think about disabled people, all of these different beautiful, the whole coloring book of America. There are people in all those groups who not only desperately need and don't get, but desperately need, and then some do get. And now there's states like this one who wants to say, yeah, I know you're starving and we're giving you money, but we're not going to let you get a whole bunch of stuff that you need to have a healthy life.
no, I agree. And I think it's important to point out that yeah, like we want these topics that we talk about. We want good legislation that helps everyone. And Christy and I are not big fans of means testing, especially when it comes to
Right.
helping people.
Uh-uh.
But I think it's important to every now and then step back, like a topic like this. We need to talk about means testing because the people on the other side of the aisle, means testing is negotiation. And sometimes you fucking got to do that in politics. Um,
It makes it
like,
easier to tear
or
a program apart if it is means tested. And
yeah,
I can give you an
does.
example. Uh, Social
But we already
Security.
need means
Social
test.
Security.
Yeah.
The only means test is you reach a certain age. Then that doesn't matter
Yeah.
if you're a billionaire, millionaire, homeless, doesn't matter. It's across the board. That's why it's so hard for them to be able to take it apart. That's
Right.
why
They
that
changed the age.
kid credit, the child care tax credit,
Hmm.
our nation brought 50% of the children that were in poverty, of the 100% of children that were in poverty, 50% of them were brought out of poverty in a matter
Yeah,
of
raised
months,
up.
in a matter of months, because of something like that. And because it was means tested, they were able to take it apart and do, you don't get it, and you don't, and this is why, and then why even have it? It's too much work. But if
Yeah,
we could just make that a
absolutely.
part of, we wouldn't have child poverty in this nation. That is an America first. That is a America number one. That is something to be patriotic about. So let me
Yeah,
step off
absolutely.
of my soapbox. Okay, I'm done.
No, you're all good. You're all good. No,
Okay, you guys, everybody wish Nacha a badass rockin' concert because
yeah.
he's gonna be swinging that hair. Okay, let me control myself. He's gonna be swinging that hair and playing bongo drums on Mero's bongo drums, and then
Yes.
for me anyway, that's for me.
Uh,
If that happens, Mero, it's my fault. And give her a smooch for me, Nacha, and you guys have lots of fun, and please take pictures. At least I
yeah.
want to, before you guys leave, looking all dapper and gorgeous, and then it's always fun to see after because it's like, "Ooh, you had a
Gotcha.
fun time."
Yes.
So there's,
And
yeah. I'm
thank
gonna
you
take
guys so
more to
much.
jump, and I don't know if you can see all that. Kind of hard to see on here.
Ready?
Definitely, but it goes from here all the way down. Hives,
Aw,
hives, hives, hives,
sorry.
hives. Yeah, it just drives
I'm
me
so
crazy. But when
sorry.
I take Benadryl, I feel like my face starts sliding off my face.
That's not good. That's
It's
no good.
it's not good. It's not good. I love you guys so so much. We're gonna have tough
Thank you so
topics. I have
much.
a couple of them lined up. I'm gonna go into them this next week. I'm gonna take my time and figure out which one of those two I'm gonna cover because it's gonna be tough, both of them. So I love you
All
guys,
right.
and I
We
think
love
you
you
guys
guys.
should
Thank you so
probably
much.
stay humanist for
For
godless
godless sake.
sake. Mwah.